is Adam Hicks, and you are listening to the Movie Rage Show.
It's time for the movie rating. Tonight's victim is actor Adam Hicks, that is known for his role as one of the saviors in the Walking Dead TV show and playing as I Am Wrath. Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Staying alive. Wait, that's never mind. What's up?
Nothing, man. Just chilling today, kind of relaxing. It's nice and hot here where I'm at, and just living life.
Living life. So, do we have any new projects coming out this year, or that we're working on right now that you are allowed to tell us?
I have one that's coming up that I can't really speak of very much at all, actually. It could be something pretty good. It's still kind of in the real early phases of it, but I should know something next week on, what route it's going to go.
Now, even though we can check out the Walking Dead stuff, that we can see your smug in one of several of the episodes, actually, more than one.
Oh, yeah. Yep. 6 episodes, season 9. I did 2 episodes and then 4 episodes in season 8. It was a blast.
Now, when you got that role into that TV show, was the mentality a little bit different for you? I mean, this is pretty big, and you can imagine that people will be starstruck or maybe get nervous or just simply fumble around in terms of their part, regardless if it's a big role or a small role. I mean, was the mentality a little bit different for you on this one?
It was a little bit. Me and my wife, we've been big fans of it even before I was in it. First episode I was on, and we were at the Kingdom, and I mean, it was like walking in, and it was kind of surreal. So, once you kind of just relax a little bit and just kind of go with it, your nerves kind of calm down a little bit, and you just kind of get into your role. But it's very neat getting on the sets of, different, the Kingdom, Hilltop, whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, the fact that here you are. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of role that you are. The fact is that you're being a part of some kind of its own history, regardless of what it is, even if you're just there for 1 scene, 2 scenes, and then eventually die or whatever. The fact is that here you are, you've kind of made your own little mark, like in terms of futuristic type shows and film as well.
Hey, absolutely, and it definitely does help having that on your resume, that big show like that. I definitely feel like that's benefited me a lot, recently.
Definitely something to watch, and the fact is that you got a physical copy of something that you were in, and this is not just a demo reel. Some films just never make it to the shelves a lot, especially you've done this for, let's say, 5 to 10 years or more, and you don't really get to just come around and just look at it, because everything's more like online streaming and all this other through all these other companies and so forth.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is definitely I've bought each season that as they come out, which I think season 9 is coming out, I think, this month on DVD. But no, so The Walking Dead's been fun, and that's definitely one of my things I can kind of check off my bucket list that I did. That was really fun.
Well, did you actually have to do anything special with that too? In terms of, do you actually have to keep yourself from sending out any kind of still photos or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're very, very strict on that. And when you're in holding and you go to the set, they see it. Potentially, you could legally bound by something, but also they'll just be like, "Hey, man, you're done. Leave," and you blew that chance of something good you're doing.
And that's another thing in terms of mentality-wise. When you become something into a TV show like this or any other string of TV shows, the mentality has to say above average, above everything else, because you can't just have a big head of it. It's like, hey, I was in this. If you keep going forward from project to project, it can get even better. But it's almost like a big ball, man. It's going to keep rolling if you just stay ahead of that.
Even doing smaller things, some of the people I've met and networking with, I mean, that's how I've landed other little gigs that I've done, is get to talking to someone when you're on set, strike up a conversation, you become, friends or whatever, and like, hey, I think you should come try out for, this part or whatever, and it definitely helps. Even the small parts that you think you're just like, this is kind of a waste of my day, not really, because, I mean, some of the worst parts I've had have ended up maybe to me down the line.
Yeah, and some people rather keep those parts in the past or something. And my opinion is, I don't think you should. Even if it's a bad role or whatever, the fact is, you learn from it from yourself, for one, from just viewing it, and not just by hearing from reviews and the audience. Plus, you can learn from the audience as well. Because, of course, you can't make everybody happy, but you can take notes. It's like, okay, what could the audience possibly want from the type of role or type of character actor that you are?
Exactly.
Now, do you think that actors are actually institutionalized instead of continuing to grow in today's film industry?
I think so.
It seems like everything's so boxed in now in terms of every time a release happens, actors can't really be out there as what they used to be anymore. It just seems like they're just so enclosed. It's like very tight space for regards from role to role, from here to point A to point B, done, keep going.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, some of that's just not being able to talk, which kind of stinks, about some of the stuff you're working on, that there's certain times when you can say, like, yeah, I'm in this, and this is happening here, and that definitely hampers some stuff there.
How do you feel about doing this type of being institutionalized yourself? Do you consider yourself being institutionalized as well, or do you think you're outside the independent way?
I have another job on the, that I do too. So things like I feel like I got a little bit more of a force to kind of have more of a balance with it. I don't think I am as much right now just because I'm not acting and doing things, but it's still doing my day job too. So
do you feel like you still have to keep practicing even from your day job and this?
Yeah, I do, and but a lot of roles I do have been more action type characters and whatnot. It's helped with being a police officer and learning. I know how to be a police officer, so if you're a police officer in a movie or somebody that's handling a weapon or whatever, that's definitely helped me a bunch.
Oh, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, though. Even if you were from a security guard or whatever, the fact is you have actual real experience. You don't need to really train specifically for this, only for the role itself, because you can extenuate from that. You can add to that. You can actually add an additional flavor to that role on top of that experience.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's what's healing to them sometimes, is not going to show me to keep your finger on the trigger during just little things that you might, me as a police officer, notice in some movies, where you think like, man, that's not really how it would work. It seems like lately they're calling for more people with like true, even like you said, security, whatever, you're used to handling a firearm or whatnot, that helps them out a lot, because that's one less thing they got to be watching to make sure you do and don't do.
Which area or areas do you think actors can be liable or less liable and more of a liability?
Prior life experience it helps a bunch, comes into like your role. I believe any actor would agree. Anything they've done and then bring it into your job or whatever you're doing, like past experiences.
Acting is not exactly the way to really go full force in terms of an ongoing full-on day-to-day paying job, unless you get really, really big gigs. But having to have that job security, so to speak, you can either put some money into your own aspect of acting or special training for whatever the roles that you want to do, and then further enhance it yourself.
Right, absolutely, for sure. That's a really good point.
And the fact is that every day, as it keeps going and keeps going, it does get harder, especially when you got a family. It makes it even more harder, because then you got to go away, and then it's just, there's so many things. That's the thing. Has it ever occurred to you, like, when having to deal with this kind of stress, do you think it affects your acting in a different way, or do you think this should help you out more?
It does, and it is hard, because The Walking Dead's home down in Georgia, and it's about a 9-hour drive if I drive or if I fly down or whatever. But it is hard being away. I'm kind of a homebody anyways, and my kids think it's cool, and my wife does and everything. But it's still hard, because they have their life. They have to pick it up and heading down to Georgia for a week or whatever. We get by. We understand each other, but it is hard going away after times and going out of state and being that far away, by yourself.
Do you think it's best to actually practice adaptation when it comes to this part, having to deal with this when you're not with your family, in a way by yourself, and you got to deal with all this stuff going on through your head? And do you think you kind of have to counsel yourself in order to get to this?
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of get into notice just working with some big name actors and whatnot. They all have their own little thing that they do between scenes or whatnot. They all have their own little thing they do to kind of get themselves ready and kind of get in the character type thing. Like me, I just kind of like to have chill time before, and I just kind of go over in my mind what I'm doing and how it's going to look and what I need to do and things like that.
Now, how far do you think you want to go as an actor? Do you want to extend further into TV, or do you want to more go into the film aspect of things? Or in terms, even roles, what kind of roles do you prefer for the most part, at least at this point?
Ultimately, probably more of a film direction is kind of what I want to go. It depends on what the storyline of the show or the movie's going to be about. If I think I can really get into that kind of a character that would be needed for something like that, if I think I can do it well, then, but ultimately probably more probably just film is what kind of my main goal would be later on.
What's more of a learning experience for you? Is it by being with other people, or is this just because you just want to throw yourself into this all alone?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely, definitely when you're working with other people, and sometimes it is better to just, if you think about it too much, you can kind of psych yourself out a little. People that have been doing it for a long time, and you watch how they handle themselves and how they handle a situation where you might think, oh, this is how it needs to be done, and then Sylvester Stallone do it, and you're like, okay, I was wrong. Let's do it like this guy did it. One of those deals.
It's always an ongoing balance, though, because it's like you'd like to see what they're doing, but at the same time, you want to do your own thing. You want to separate yourself as an actor from everybody else. Everybody does, but there's nothing wrong with learning from everybody of having to do it, because you have to basically just keep your mouth shut and just go with it. And because if you do that, then you're going to succeed, because you didn't know how to act in this particular way. And later on, you're going to, oh, okay, well, I learned it from this guy, and it worked out in the second sequel or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's one of those things you kind of get thrown into something, you kind of learn as you go, and hopefully what they want.
Unfortunately, mistakes always happen in film industry. Everybody does. Even the high caliber, highest of actors in the world do the same thing, no matter how many times they've done this throughout their entire career. But at the same time, I know it's crucial. I know it's really crucial. But do you actually memorize of the mistakes that you did make so you don't make them, or would you just shrug it off and just like it was just a part of the past? Now you know what to do.
Yeah, I would say that. For example, when I was in I Am Rap in a scene with John Travolta, and we went over this might seem like multiple times. When you're watching it in the movies, it looks like it's just you and like two other people, but you have like an entire crowd of cameras and whatnot around you. You get kind of like fumbled with your words and whatnot. And first, my opening little lines that I had, it was kind of a tongue twister, kind of a goofy, and so I kept, kind of screwing that up a little bit and redo and whatnot. And, finally I got it. Take a deep breath, chill. If you auditioned and you got it, they want you. So, it's not like you don't have to be worried like, oh, crap, I messed it up for the third time. They're going to boot me out. No, I don't think so at all. I got through it.
And it's always nice to have a little bit of that cushion there, too, because you, like you said, in this particular film that you just mentioned, that with John Travolta, at least you have a very well-experienced actor to possibly help you out. I don't know if he does or not try to help, but at least you could always ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, because you could be doing this for 30 years. There's still nothing wrong with asking questions about acting or how to get that role, how to behave in this particular manner. It's okay, guys.
I'll definitely say that John Travolta was very, very nice guy. Was not like, you weren't intimidated. Like, you could just chat with him as you're doing your thing, and if you had a question or whatever, then sure. But he was cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. But again, cushion is always good if you have that. Use it. It's not really a safety net. It's just something just in case you fall on your butt. Guess what? There's another actor that can just give you a little nudge, pick you up, and then go back to the lines and then figure it out what you're trying to do, and then boom, you'll succeed.
Yes, absolutely. That's spot on how I feel like it works.
Well, go ahead and plug in any websites, any links that we can check out right now that you're involved in.
I'm doing called the Living Dead Weekend, and it's in Evans City, Pennsylvania. It's where the original Night of the Living Dead was filmed, George Romero, 1968 film. They have a lot of the characters from that, and I'm going to be there with a table, and anybody that's close to that area, come stop by for sure and introduce yourself, and I'll be happy to meet you. September 27th through September 29th, and it's the Living Dead Weekend. It's in Evans City, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. That's where the whole zombie thing started, so a fun time for sure.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That is actor Adam Hicks.
Thank you very much.